I want you to pay attention right now. And pay very close attention as to what's happening because this has not happened in recent history. What you are seeing is the collapse of a political system. What you are seeing is almost like the beginning of a black hole, the compression of a star where the density is so thick and so great, light can't escape. That's what's happening to what used to be the Democratic Party. And what you're doing is you're asking yourself, how can this be? How can people like this be this stupid as to actually allow this to happen? And I don't want you to worry about this. Because you see, for the longest time, the people who ran the Democratic Party years ago were actually Democrats, people who believed in something. Oh, they might have been liberals, but they weren't necessarily out of their minds. And then something happened. When Biden came in, it began the intrusion upon the party like a virus. Like a virus that, think of this globe, in essence, a very interesting analogy, of a virus going into the Democratic Party and rewiring everything, the DNA, the genetics, the code. It looks like the Democratic Party, it seems like the Democratic Party, but it's not. They turned it over to every psychosexual, degenerate, perv, pedo freak you can imagine. And just like that, everything changed. They opened the borders, and they opened the borders specifically to guarantee a permanent Democratic majority. The goal is very simply to destroy and to abrogate, if you will, in reverse, the filibuster, to pack the Supreme Court, to make D.C. the 51st state, and to forever contaminate and change everything, so that these demented, sick, perverted, vile human beings can run the show. Now, the people like Nancy Pelosi, yeah, they're bad. AOC, yeah, but they're really not the people who run the show. It was this virus, the police state, the intel state, the shadow government, the ruling class, whoever they were, who came in. And they wanted to destroy everything, including the borders. Crime. They wanted to make race wars. They were almost Manson-esque in their desire to destroy racial harmony because believe it or not, blacks and whites got along with each other. Black folks may have had a problem with the cops. Black folks may have had a problem with the government, but black folks and white folks got along, and they didn't like that. So enter Black Lives Matter. And a bunch of loudmouths who came in to try to separate Americans, to separate them by race, and then by gender, and then by sexuality, because they wanted to change everything. They wanted to pull us apart. They wanted to get to the base, to the interstitial undergirding, the lattice work, the foundation of our society, and destroy it. And they were on their way. But without thinking this through, for reasons I will never understand, they decided to put it in, or they decided to do this, while allowing for this demented coot to run the show. And since June of 2017, when this wizened dotard, this demented sexual freak who preyed on women, asked Tara Reid, and children, and smelled kids' hair, and did all of this stuff before our eyes, along with that awful scum, that syphilitic evil seed, that spawn, that waste of flesh, that hominid hunter. They came in and they just absolutely wreaked havoc. And the folks who run the show were so arrogant, the shadow government, they said, doesn't matter. Nobody's going to fight back. Nobody's going to do anything. We're going to put Trump in there, and we're going to crush Trump. And that'll be a lesson to these proles, to these idiots, to these serfs, to these peasants, that we're in charge. Well, guess what happened? As though God intervened, as though there was this divine, I don't know what you call that, after, if you think about this, after 9 years, since 2015, when Donald Trump decided to descend that escalator in Trump Tower, We have been living through sheer and utter hell, waiting for the moment, waiting for the time, waiting for the instance to pounce back. Well, what happened was, much to everyone's surprise, especially the people running the show, the people who thought they had everything ready to go with what they did to us regarding COVID, this biomedical tyranny, the way they had us scared and locked up and vaxxed and jabbed and masked and freaked out. They thought they just took the fight out of us. They thought they changed everything. Well, they didn't. All of a sudden, what we knew to be true just blew up when this demented codger, this coot, this, again, wizened, hobbled by decrepitude, this dotard, this senescent, flatulent, incontinent, confused, disoriented, vile human being, and that cur, that termagant of a wife of his, who sat back and said, I want the nightlife and the limelight, so much so that I'm going to prop you up. After putting us through every conceivable hell there is, after turning loose, and this is to me their number one, the thing which I will never forget them for and forgive them for, is turning loose these paraphiles, these demented, sick, predatory, vile, disgusting. I don't know what they are, to call them trans, to call them non-binary. They're lunatics, sexual predators who wanted to go into our schools and destroy our children's minds and perceptions and innocence and their bodies through that Rachel Levine. It all came to a head like a huge sebaceous cyst, which is even worse than a cyst. This purulent pustule about to pop, this gargantuan, purulent, herpetic sore just exploded. And all it took was a debate, masterfully handled by the next president of the United States, Donald John Trump. Remember, Democrats, as we learned from Jack Reacher, you wanted this.